Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Playmakers. I'm hanging out at a race shop in Carmel, Indiana, and I ran into a Hall of Fame kicker, and he's my guest on Playmakers. Hi, I'm Dave Calabro, and I've covered some of the biggest moments in sports. But the stories that matter most are the ones that you rarely hear, because the game is decided long before the final whistle or the checkered flag. These are the people who make the big plays. Welcome to Playmakers, brought to you by Indiana Members Credit Union.
This is Molly. She loves road trips, hikes, her dog Max, and cars that fit her lifestyle. Like this cool new ride that she got with help from Indiana Members Credit Union at a great low rate. And for when she's on the go, IMCU makes it easy for her to pay from anywhere thanks to their digital banking. Looks like Molly is really getting the max from her credit union.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Playmakers, brought to you by IBJ Media, and we're joined by the greatest kicker of all times. This is kind of fun. Adam Vinatieri, kind enough to join us. Good to see you again, partner.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to be back in the limelight.
Do I have to call you Hall of Famer again?
You call me whatever you want,
Mr. Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How shocked, surprised were you? Or not?
Well,
About a month ago, you got the news.
Yeah, obviously there's nothing guaranteed until they knock on the door. You put a lot of work together over a long period of time, and people seem to tell you that they think that you're going to make it in, but until you get the knock on the door, there's no guaranteed. Obviously, it was the second year that I was eligible. The first year I made it to the finals, didn't get the knock, got the phone call to let me know that I wasn't making it. So, so you don't take anything for granted at that point. You go, well, maybe it's this year, but until you get the knock, you don't know.
Did your phone blow up? Did you hear from all your old teammates and
all your
partners in crime about it?
It was pretty awesome, that honors weekend at the Super Bowl. Once they announced it, it was 1,000 text messages, and you try to hit them all back, and then the next day you got 500 more. So it took me a couple weeks probably to catch up to everybody. But just old teammates and stuff saying, "Man, congratulations!" And it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, we're going to talk football in a minute, but first, we're sitting in a race shop in Carmel. Explain to people why we're sitting in a race shop in Carmel. Race season's here.
No doubt. When I first got to Indy, being a South Dakota kid, whatever, I get here and realize that Indiana's known for the Indy 500 and all the racing and drag racing, and just, so like it or not, you get involved in it. A good friend of mine, who is my partner in this, his son was started off really young doing the go-kart series. Jack Miller used to be an IndyCar driver himself. And my son dabbled in it a little bit and decided he loved it, but he wanted to do some traditional sports as well. And if you're going to be a driver, that's 24/7, 365 kind of thing. So my son didn't continue that way, but I thought I wanted to get involved a little bit. And when and young Jack, one of our drivers, he's basically the same age as my oldest son. So from day one, Big Jack and myself, we just kind of got involved with it, thought, let's see what we can do, and let's win the Indy 500 one day. So
is that kind of the dream?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Running, we should be a year off, maybe 2 years off before we're running the Indy 500. But, obviously to be in it is special. It's a dream come true, but trying to win that sucker is a whole different beast, So we'll see where we end up. But
that's very cool.
Yeah, we like our drivers. We like our team. Good group of guys. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it a lot.
That's why you're on Playmakers. You're a guy who made a bunch of plays on the field, and now you've got other ambitions and desires. And I want to talk about your career.
Sure.
The one that we know you for. 14 seasons with the Colts, 10 years with the Patriots. You got 4 Super Bowls. You hit 2 game winners in the Super Bowl. You have just about every record known to mankind. That's quite a illustrious career you had. Have you had a chance now to sit back and think about it all?
I've reminisced a little bit. I've kind of reflected on my career, probably more so this year than any other year. Once you get the knock on the door, and then you kind of sit back and you start thinking about, the speech and, who you want to call and thank for all the years that they put in and the people that have helped you along the way, teachers in elementary school all the way up to Hall of Fame coaches and general managers that helped me get to where I needed to be. And, you just sit there and go, man, you say it 24 years, it didn't went fast. Never really felt like that. I was always kind of looking to try to help my team the next year and what can I do a little bit better from the year before. And you're never really comfortable. At least I never was.
You always said that you always felt like you had to, every year, as you said, reprove yourself each year.
You really do. You can have a nice beginning of your career. You could maybe sign a brand new contract, but I always treated it like you're about 2 kicks away from getting cut if you don't do it well. If you miss the wrong ones at the wrong time, then, things happen. So for me, I was always trying to improve wherever I could, try to help my team win games, be a good leader and a good teammate. And then the years just kind of blend and they just keep going and going and going. And then you can sit back, I guess, and look back on your career and go, man, I can't believe all that good stuff happened. And, just all the little moments of kicking game winners in the Super Bowl, tackling Herschel Walker, throwing a touchdown pass. There's been a lot of cool moments along the way, but just being able to share it with my family, my wife and my kids have been awesome from day one. And I always said, the greatest reward that I had, good or bad games, you always came home and your kids were excited to see you. They didn't care how the game went or how dad played or this or that. They just wanted to be a part of it. So for me, I thought it was awesome.
I want to go back to 2002. That's when the world kind of found out who you were. You had this big kick in the divisional playoffs, a driving snowstorm. Everybody remembers that moment. And you guys, 2 weeks later, win the Super Bowl on your kick. That was the beginning of the dynasty for the Patriots. Did you realize at the time, man, that was a big moment in sports history right there?
Yeah, no, that particular year was crazy. I mean, 9/11 happened, right before that, beginning of the season. So, the whole country was in mourning at that point, and football was the release that some people needed to not think about life and just enjoy sports. Drew Bledsoe gets knocked out of the game, and here comes in a young guy, Tom Brady, that nobody knew about, that, quite frank, nobody knew that he was going to be as great as he turned out to be, right? So, yeah, that whole season was pretty wild. The divisional game against the Raiders, everybody calls it the Tuck Rule game or the Snow Bowl game or whatever. Yeah, probably the most difficult kick I've ever had in my entire life with everything on the line, a 45, 48-yard field goal, whatever it was, in about 5 inches of snow. I mean, you can't stack down by 3 points. You miss the kick and you're cleaning out your locker, right? So, that was pretty wild moment. And then only to be 2 weeks later, like you said, have another opportunity to be the last play of the Super Bowl and confetti's falling as the ball's going through the uprights is pretty wild.
Pretty wild. Then 2 years later, you got to do it again.
Yeah, no, it was a good run. We had a really, really good team there and did a lot of great things. And then fast forward a couple of years, and I get to come to Indy, to my home here, right? And was right at the right time. We end up beating the Patriots in the AFC Championship Game, which was kind of our Achilles heel. We couldn't get past those guys. I was on the other side, right? And I was always on that side. So coming here, winning that game at home, and then, I mean, not to say that the Chicago Bears weren't a great team, but that felt like the Super Bowl, beating the Patriots, and then, going down to Miami in the rainstorm there, beating Chicago and being part of the Colts' first Super Bowl win here was awesome, because just seeing all my teammates win it for the first time was watching grown men cry is a pretty cool thing.
That was cool. I was there with you guys watching all those things you're talking about. When you were signed with the Colts, what was the reaction like? Because the Patriots, Colts, man, I mean, Colts fans, they hated you guys, man, and here you come strolling into town. What was that like?
Yeah, it was interesting. I think the first person that I met was Gary Brackett in the locker room, and he's like, dude, I effing hated you all this time. You better prove to me, whatever. And I think that the Baltimore playoff game, when I had 5 field goals and that was the only point scored, we ended up winning 15-6 or whatever. I remember he comes into the locker and he's like, yeah, you proved to me, like, you're all right, that kind of thing.
You're one of us now.
You're one of us now, right? So, just to have some of those moments, and to come over here and be welcomed with open arms. It was an emotional time leaving New England and coming here. I think like my wife and I said, best decision we've ever made. It was great for Hoosier hospitality, the people here in Indiana. That's why we still live here 6 years after I'm done playing. We love it here and have no plans on doing anything else.
Do you realize what impact that had on our city? You guys winning that first Super Bowl?
Well, it was a long time coming.
Yeah.
I know. I said to Peyton, I said, when I was in New England and we're getting ready for that matchup, it was a scary matchup for us in New England because you look across the field and you got Marv and Reg and Peyton and Edrin James and Bob and Freeney, Matthew. I mean, you just go down the list and you're like, oh my God, like this is like Hall of Famers up and down the roster kind of thing. So, it was one of those situations that we knew we had to always play our best game and kind of try to figure out a way to make it difficult on the guys. And then coming here a couple years later and then making it here and figuring a way to get those guys was pretty awesome.
Do you still watch football on Sundays? Will you?
Oh, absolutely. No, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm watching, obviously, the home team. I'm watching the Colts every weekend, and then I watch a bunch of other football along the way. Just kind of, I don't watch it the same way I did back in the day. Now I'm just kind of a fan and seeing.
I say, can you relax and watch a game and not turn it off and go, well, whatever?
Yeah. Except for obviously, when I have some skin in the game. If the Colts start off 7-1 and then we.
That'll never happen.
Oh
Adam.
my goodness!
And then what happens?
Yeah, and then we went the other way after that. So that was one of those. I'm still a fan at that point, but I feel like once a Colt, always a Colt. So I feel like I still had some skin in the game at that point.
Yeah.
But it was interesting.
You have so many clutch moments. They called you Mr. Clutch and Automatic Adam, all those things. What do you tell people in the business world? I know people ask you all the time, just about dealing with pressure and being in the moment when you have to be in the moment. Well, did you learn something at an early age, or are you just wired different? What's going on here?
Well, two things. First and foremost, I think preparation leads to game time success. If you don't prepare practice-wise, or I'm making the analogy for football, obviously, that I tried to always practice difficult situations. I know McAfee and I always talked about it, and we're like, if I got a 10-minute field goal period, I'm using all 10 minutes, and I'm going to finish as far back as I can, even if I don't make those last couple of kicks, or which we usually did. But I was always kind of like, I want to practice more difficult, so that way when you get in the game, you're not shocked. All of a sudden you can go out there and rely on the process and not let the game get too big for yourself. So I always, even getting to the Super Bowls or doing some of that stuff, you sit there and go, this 48-yard field goal is no different than the 48-yarder that you did all summer long. It's obviously more impactful. There's more on the line, but just block all that out and live in your little 3-yard by 3-yard box and just rely on what you've done for all those years, and hopefully things take care of itself. So I personally feel like the harder you practice, the more you do to get yourself prepared, and then you can just go out there with confidence and know that when it's on the line, nothing changes.
And your son now is taking up the mantle. He's doing some kicking. Yeah.
My oldest is he's a punter. He's a combo guy, punts and kicks both. But he's more of a punter. I mean, that's kind of his. He's a little bit. That's where his comfort level is. So excited. It's a lot of fun actually. My youngest son is playing over here at Zionsville as well. So I get more nervous watching them play and like trying to be that role than I actually think I ever did when I was playing myself. To be honest with you.
I asked Brackett about this. What kind of coach parent are you? I've seen you. You're pretty even keel, though, I would say.
Yeah. Well, yes and no.
At least around the media, you were.
Yeah. I think I don't blow up. I don't go crazy, but I do bring a certain different type of excitement to practice, to the games, the high school games and stuff like that. I always hold the kids to a higher standard because I expect you guys to put 100% effort. I expect you to study, so you should know the game plan. There's no excuses for being ill prepared, right? But I think they, for the most part, I think most of the kids enjoy me being coaching because I can give them a few nuggets here and there of, for instances, or some things that work at the highest level. We started off our football season at Zionsville. First kickoff, we ran back for a touchdown in first play of the game. We did one in the playoff. I think we had 3 or 4 of them this year, and that's kind of those. When we talk about schemes and game plans and how to fit guys up and how to, do the right thing, it works, right? I mean, it works. And so I think you do a couple of those type of plays, then all of a sudden you got everybody's attention, and they're like, I want to know more. I want to be a part of it. So it's fun. I know Dylan Gandy, and I know T.Y. Hilton, and I know there's some other guys on some of the other teams and around the state as well that do a lot of coaching, but a lot of the guys, a lot of the former players give back a bunch, and I know the high school kids and middle school kids and whoever, they really appreciate that and enjoy that a lot.
Well, I told you only 20 minutes, so I'm gonna let you keep going here. So Hall of Fame, can you make it through the speech without crying?
Well,
Man.
So here's the biggest thing. So I suffer from really bad eye allergies. So if I get weepy-eyed, it's because the allergies in Ohio really kicked the crap out of me. So I don't know if the allergies that day will be bad, but if it is, it's allergies. It's not. No, I'm just kidding. It'll be interesting. It'll be tough. I know.
And the post party, I was at Peyton's post party. I bet your post party is going to be.
Those Hall of Fame guys, they all bet on who's gonna lose it and cry a little bit or this or that. But I think most of those guys do. So if I do, it is what it is. It'll be good.
Well earned, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time. Adam Vinatieri, greatest kicker all time, right here on Playmakers. Thanks for watching, everybody, and listening. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for watching and listening to Playmakers, brought to you by IBJ Media. I'm Dave Calabro. I hope you'll subscribe on YouTube or wherever else you get your podcast. Until next time, we'll see you later.